Welcome to the first ever football jersey chat. I'm Dan Andrade. Today we're joined with Martin Cassidy, and our special guest today is Chris Andrews from Jersey Wanderers. How are we doing?
Very well, thanks. Good. Morning, Chris. How are you doing?
Morning, guys. Yeah, all good, thank you. All good.
We'll kick things off with a basic question about your football background, Chris. Tell us a bit about it. Did you play? Who did you support growing up? All of that.
Did I play? A long time ago I played. I'm still trying now, but yeah, it takes a bit longer to recover, as Martin, I'm sure you can attest to.
Were you one of the little ones, Chrissy?
Yeah, so I played football for years, for mainly for Wanderers. Started early in my career, under 14s, played for First Tower. Back then, that was the earliest it started really in the terms of clubs, and then had a brief stint at Scottish for a couple of years, and then back to Wanderers. So yeah, played a lot. Played for Jersey sort of throughout the age groups, up from primary school to senior. In terms of supporting, unfortunately at the moment, I'm a Man United fan.
Yeah, famous.
Yeah. But, we'll see what happens with that. I'm quietly confident.
Chris, you were part of the Jerseys team that won in Ireland. What age were you then?
In the Ireland Games, yeah, I was. What was that? It was 2008, was it?
2008, 2009, I think.
Yeah, so I'd been 25, I think, 26.
25. Wow.
Yeah. That was a good trip, wasn't it?
Amazing.
When did the coaching start, Chris? Yeah.
Coaching. Well, I helped out with Wanderers really. It was just by helping out with under 12s. I took, that's probably 10 years ago now, maybe a bit less. So I started out doing under 12s for a bit. That was hard work. And then I sort of had a break because I was still playing then, and trying to sort of coach and play at the same time. I was just eating into my own social. So I had a break, and then I took the 18s for a couple of seasons at Wanderers about three or 4 years ago, which was again pretty tricky in a different way, should we say? 17, 18-year-old lads. And then just sort of finished playing, stopped playing. As I said, I stopped playing, and then just got approached really by Wanderers and asked to take on the role.
Chris, you mentioned it under 12s. Does any of the boys you worked with at under 12s now first team players now? If it was 10 years ago. So no, not that at Wanderers. There were a few that I've seen sort of come through and play sort of club football, but there's none that I recall that have actually sort of progressed into sort of Jersey Island sides or anything like that. Well, I'll kick off with just a few more personal questions around over recent times, Chrissy, and obviously now Channel Island champions after last season, the way it finished off. But how good was that in your sort of second season to be crowned champions of the league? And how's it feel? How does it feel? Any different, or is it, talk a bit on that?
So in terms of last season, I was brought in last season, and the lads were great with me. From the coaching staff to the people that help around the background, just sort of helped me understand little things like registrations and how complicated something that sounds so simple can be. So everyone at the club's been great around that. But in terms of the league and how it ended last season, I mean, I think I've been vocal already about my opinion of that. I just feel that it could have been finished at the start of this season. There wasn't many games. I think one team had 3 games left to play or something like that. That can be done in a week. But it is what it is. And at the same time, yes, we were leading, and the way that they worked it out on points per game basis, crown champions. And I don't want to take anything away from the effort and the work that the lads have put in all season for me. So yeah, it is what it is.
I wanted to touch on that because last season I watched a lot of your games, and I felt that the fitness of your team, I would say you were the fittest team in the league. In years gone by, I've always thought the fittest team generally wins the league over time. What was your sort of training regime that you had, and how did you get some with respect, average players playing at the top of their game, and then some of your players were really fit and really came through and shined through and ended up playing for the Jersey team as well. But what was your strategy?
Yeah, I think, I mean, in terms of fitness, yeah, I 100% agree. I think at amateur level, if the fitter team and a team that wants it more will more or less win games than lose games. Obviously, you do have some talent that will shine through, and you got match winners all over the place. But you know, over the whole season, I think if you are fit enough, if you work harder than the other team and you want it more, you'll tend to win more than you lose anyway. But in terms of what we did, I did exactly that. I got them as fit as anything. We had a tough pre-season. It was a really hot summer last summer, but credit to the lads, they all turned up. We also did some over Christmas, again, which the attendance was brilliant. I can't fault that. But I think what happens is when you're sitting at the top of the league and you're winning games, and you know the atmosphere's happy, people don't mind that. And, you know, I think it would be harder for a team if you're struggling mid-table or lower down the end to get people to come in over Christmas and do running. So we've got to give credit to the lads again for that, for buying into it and what we're trying to do.
You won it, and you're champions now. And how have you taken that into this campaign in terms of the way things have set up? With the players' attitude still the same? Is the commitment still there? And more importantly, is it harder as the champions to every game? Does the opposition try any harder? Have you seen any difference in that?
I mean, the lads' application's been again second to none. It's been excellent. Attendance at training's good. People put it in when they're training, and I think, you know, competition for places only helps that. We've obviously got a pretty strong squad in terms of depth until recent times, but yeah, I think in terms of every game we're playing this season, like you say, is it harder or easier? It's definitely harder. I mean, you know, we were champions, and I think in the circumstances that we were champions, some teams didn't agree with it, which is, you know, fully understandable. Therefore, the players have more incentive when they play you. And secondly, on that, I think personally, every game now, this season and last season, there's just more in it. There's a lot more teams with belief that they can take points off of everyone.
Much more competitive, isn't it? I've noticed that. I think.
Yeah, and I think some of the players deserve credit for that, for not just Wanderers, but all of the teams, because they seem to relish it now. You know, a few years ago there were times where you know, a certain team would turn up against another team and they'd be lost. You know, their just attitude was deflated already. They're like, oh, here we go, another 2 hours, and then we're yeah. And I just think, I think a lot of the clubs and the players have got to deserve a bit of credit for that, really, but in the way that they go into every game.
Yeah, that was a big game the other week. You know, you against St. Juan's, you know, 2-0 down at half time. You turned it around to 3-2, and I think that sent a huge message out. I think maybe dropping 3 points there, giving St. Paul's the edge, keeping and looking forward now to you know, the January games coming up. Some big games for both clubs. How do you think? What's your planning, and how do you think that's going to go over the next 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah, so I mean, we've got 2 games still before Christmas. So I personally think that this Saturday will be one of our biggest games of the season, following on from the St. Juan's game. You know, we spoke to the lads, and it was a case of, you don't win this game, that's potentially the league over. And they responded. They responded in brilliant fashion. So credit to them again. But yeah, in terms of we've got Grouville this Saturday. I think Grouville can take points off of anyone on their day as well. And then we've got Aki's before Christmas. And they're a dangerous side as well this season. I think with Martin King going there, they'll be a lot stronger. I think he'll bring a bit of organisation to them. And then, going into next year, like I say, our lads, we just got to win every game, and that's the only way that we're going to potentially retain the title. Because I can't see St. Paul's slipping up, and if they do, we've got to take advantage of it.
That's interesting, Dan, isn't it? They're thinking can't afford to drop any points between now and the end of the season. That puts a lot of good pressure on the teams to perform every game.
Yeah, for sure. And how good has it been Obviously, last season you didn't really have the likes of James Carey, Cayman, even Fraser. How good is it having those guys in the squad as well?
That's given me more of a headache, that's for sure. But no, you know, the three of them are all experienced players, and you know they're rightfully in the Bulls setup. So yeah, I mean it's added to the squad. It's certainly given us more depth, and you know they know as well. I'm not shy to you know pull them up on if they're not pulling their weight, because I think it is slightly different to the type of games they've been playing with the Bulls. I think, you know, the UK, that sort of league, correct me if I'm wrong, but it tends to be a bit more old-fashioned sort of English football, you know, big strong lads bumping into you and flying tackles and long ball. Whereas, you know, over here, I think, we try to be a bit more elegant about our play, should we say.
Yeah.
So I think it's taken them some time to adapt. And I think majority of their games are on 3G as well, 4G. So, you know, things like playing on a bumpy pitch, you know, in the middle of nowhere, sometimes it can take a little while to adjust.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, that, Dan, and I think it's clear the Bulls are by far head and shoulders and the best football team in that division, and probably the one above as well.
Yeah.
But as the boys come back in, that you mentioned, come back into your first team and been influential, and has their attitude been good and encouraged other players to keep the standards high? And have you seen that from those lads coming back in?
Yeah, to be honest, what I've really noticed is that the training, you know, when they're training, the intensity of training is sort of raised, because sometimes at club training you tend to turn up and go through the motions sometimes. I mean, I used to do it. I'm sure you used to do it. Did you go to training?
I trained, but I was just interested in doing nutmegs and playing with the ball. But we had people at Neville Davison, they just wanted you to run and run and run, and I preferred to play with a ball.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, their attitude, you can see that they're well drilled. They're always ready to be competing at the highest of their level, and to bring that into our training sessions really helped raise the quality.
Welcome to the first ever dressing room gossip. This week we're joined by Grouville. We've got Garry Lloyd, we've got Edgar, Costa, and we've got Kieren Stevens. How are you doing, boys?
Yeah, sound, mate. Yourself?
All good, mate. Yeah.
All good, mate. Yeah, all good. Thanks for having us.
How was the game on Saturday? Long game, extra time, 3-2. Garry, nice save at the end as well.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, it was. It's always nice to get a little bit of headlines at the end. I was a bit of a bystander for most of the extra time. You know, I think St. Brelade's went down to 9 men, so for me it was nice to play a part in getting us through to the next round.
Good. It was a class save. It was a good game to watch, and it was enjoyable. I'll start the questions now. Who is the biggest joker at Grouville?
There's a few, I think. Would you say the same?
Kieren Stevens definitely got to be up there.
Joking.
Yeah,
No.
absolutely got to be up there.
No.
The amount of non-existent.
Kieren's going to fancy himself here, but
I was going to go for Josh or Blake. I think Blake loves the karaoke. He's brilliant. And Josh, he's just Josh. He's just ridiculous everywhere. So
Yeah,
definitely got to throw Kieren Stevens in the mix, though. Has to be in there, in the top 3.
I think, as much as I hate to admit it, it's got to be Josh, I think, isn't it?
yeah.
Who is the biggest leader in the team?
Oof.
Probably say Garry.
Well, Mona, definitely. Yeah, but Garry loves it. He gets passionate about it, so he
Very motivational half-time speeches.
Normally gets us going.
I'd also throw Mark Nightingale in the mix there as well. He's extremely motivational and as well. Great captain, Rob. He's taken over from me halfway through the season. I think he's been exceptional. Leads more by example than anything else. But in terms of vocal, yeah, probably me and Mark, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Who has got the worst dress sense?
Got a few shouts.
Easy.
There's got to be
Mona.
one. Yeah. Honestly,
Linen,
the clobber
all
is
day long.
awful.
It's normally just an Ireland shirt, isn't it?
Or
as long-
a Celtic top, or
or a woeful shirt.
yeah,
Yeah, Owen Lyon
Yeah.
by a mile.
or Paul Carberry.
Country mile. Carbs, to be fair.
Carbs.
Those-
The shirts are ridiculous. He thinks they look good as well, which he'll hate me saying, but they are awful.
Yeah, definitely.
You touched on it before. Who's the biggest moaner?
Oh, yeah, it's easy. This is proper light work. This
Yeah, it's
Gaz
gotta
all
be.
day long,
Sorry, guys,
all
but
day.
Yeah, I can't. I've got no arguments. We done a teammates early in the summer. I think I won 14 out of 15.
yeah,
So can't really. Can't. No arguments. Can't.
Yeah.
Easy one then. Who is the slowest?
it's about to say
Definitely
Gaz
not.
again.
Definitely not in that one.
Gaz is definitely up there again.
Nah, not having that. I'm not having that. Pre-match, I'm everybody.
Rob McVeigh takes a while to get going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a bit
so-
of a. He's
so
a bit
do
of a
I, to be
Cadillac,
fair.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Edgar
a
takes
few
a while. I
slow.
think- yeah, Mark Nightingale though, he's got to be up there as well. He's taking a week and a half to get warmed up nowadays.
yeah. There's a few.
Yeah, I've got to throw Mark there. He doesn't even do sprints anymore, just in case he gets injured.
Going the other extreme, who do you think is the fastest? Who's rapid?
Oof.
Kieran's going to claim a little bit of this here. I can see his
Nah,
smile.
I'm gonna fancy. Yeah,
Brad,
Maxie's quick. Callum's quick.
Blem's
Cal
quick.
Coot, I'd go for. I think
Yeah,
Cal
Cal Coot. When
in
he
a
gets
straight
going,
line.
he is.
In a straight line when he's sober.
And with the ball as well. He just knocks it and he goes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a surprise package for the season this year for many clubs who didn't really know anything about him. And I think, he's been a massive asset for Grouville in terms of the pace and his power and his energy. I mean, the guy literally doesn't know when to stop, but he is too. So I think Blem might argue with us, but I'd probably go Cal Coot.
Yeah, I'd go Cal
Yeah,
Coot.
I agree as well.
Yeah, he's impressed me every time I've come to watch you. So yeah,
It's just a machine.
yeah. Who is always late?
The McVeighs.
The McVeighs
Every
are always
week.
late.
Every week. They are always late.
They're lucky with
I'm
time
actually-
because
I'm always late. I'm always late, and I'm late on purpose because I'm quite a nervous person. Even now, I hate getting to the games. I mean, Dave wants us there like for breakfast. It's ridiculous. But even I'm always there before the McVeighs. They're always late.
Oh,
always.
So laid back, so chilled. They don't care. They're happy to pay the fine, but I'm sure they're so ridiculously well off as well.
you can't shout at them because they're too nice of a bloke.
yeah, I know.
They're both of them are just
Yeah,
the nicest blokes going, so you can't say anything.
but they're always late.
And one's a captain, so you can't really argue with him either.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
Who is the dressing room DJ?
Kind of mixes between a few, doesn't it? Josh, Max, you dabble in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, it depends who brings the speaker, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whoever brings the speaker.
if Edgar gets in there, it's a nonsense. It's a pure
It's
bang.
class.
Something that's been like pure.
Last couple of weeks though,
club
a few Christmas tunes floating around.
We've had some Christmas tunes thrown in. I'm well up for
Days,
that.
yeah.
Josh just gets a bit of Grouville's on fire going. But probably Edgar and Josh mostly. Maybe Max thrown in.
Yeah.
Who's the worst at it? Who's most questionable?
Josh.
Josh is definitely the one.
Yeah,
It could be anything, like literally anything.
Oh,
it depends what you like. Like none of my music getting played.
nah,
So,
definitely not.
Probably I'm closest to Josh's, but I reckon Edgar throws some terrible ones in there.
No way, mate. Come on,
Pure
now.
club classics. No. Pure club classics. He thinks he's in Ibiza in the middle of Boulevard.
There are some bad tunes I heard. Some of them.
See, you're up there. You're up there, Ed.
Who's the most skillful?
Kieran's going to want another little slice.
Yeah, but
Well,
no,
Max.
not for me. Max for me, I think.
Yeah,
Some
Max is
skills.
outrageous. The kid, it's so impressive.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
He's a top.
I think I'm up there as well.
You might be top 5 if you're lucky.
Yeah, top 5 if we leave 8 others out. I'd say that one's a top 3 because Kieren's clearly extremely talented with the ball. Max is exceptionally good. And you've also got, Mark still throwing some shapes in the middle of the park.
Still, half the time doesn't know what he's doing though.
Yeah, no,
exactly. Yeah. And we just brought Charlie Payne to the club. I'm led to believe
he's got some good feet.
Yeah.
Well.
How good are those signings for you? Those two, him and Arthur.
I think they're going to take Grouville onto the next platform.
It's a statement for everyone else.
And it's a bit more depth as well, isn't it? So
Yeah.
we've always had I wouldn't say we struggle with squad depth, but we've always just had that. We haven't had impact subs that can come on and completely change the game.
These guys have come in there and they want to be at the top of the league, and we've got a bit of a siege mentality. 14, 15 of us who decided, look, we're the ones that are going to take it on. And now we've got 2 new additions, and possibly maybe 1 or 2 others will want to come and join now. So it's a battle for places, and we're all enjoying it. Training the last 2-3 weeks has been really sharp.
Who is the teacher's pet?
It depends. Teacher's pet, we don't really have one. Dave as a manager, his style's more of a friend's mates, style, and so it's difficult. You got some guys there who just do not miss sessions. I know he's on this call here, but Ed is ridiculous. He's
always there.
Every misses a session, and he smashes them every time. Even Josh, the poor guy's been on the bench 6, 7, 8 this season. He's been smashing training. He's been giving it everything. I know that Lynham's been in the gym the last month, and that's meant that he's been starting more games. There's a few, but in terms of training, and if we're going on that alone, your man in picture now definitely wins that. He just does not miss sessions, and he is.
Yeah. I think Blakey's up there as well. To be fair, Blakey's up there.
I'll give it you.
Blakey loves a little word in the gaffer's ear as well.
He's always at it. Always.
Friday and Saturday night, he's definitely in there. I definitely should be playing. I want him to be captain. I reckon, maybe Blakey's got to take it now.
It definitely got mentioned on Saturday night after a few bevies anyway.
It was our Christmas night out on Saturday, so we managed to get a meal, thankfully, before any of the further restrictions. And Blake, I think Blake sat next to Dave as well. I'm sure he did. and he gave it a good sing-song as well on the bus.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Who is the best player in your opinions?
Me.
Ooh. I don't know. It's a tough one, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
We've built over the last 2 years. It's been built on all of us just being good mates, getting on with each other. We don't really have any kind of prima donnas in the club. But in terms of ability, what they can do to football, probably for me it'd be Max Rivers. I think.
I'd go Rob McBay. I think he's just great. He's
cool,
just
calm and collective.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's solid at the back, and he got one hell of a ping. You can't really ask much more of him.
He knows exactly what he's doing every time.
Yeah, he's so experienced as well.
But it'll be interesting now with the 2 new lads. A bit of competition for everyone, so everyone's going to have to step up a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see this season.
Yeah,
Arthur and Charlie, certainly they're going to add to the talent pool that we've got, and more importantly, I think both of them will want to be in that top. If we're talking about a top 3 of quality players, they're going to be talking about themselves being in there. So
definitely.
For them
definitely in around it anyway.
I think they're going to be. I think they're going to enhance the squad definitely, and we'll. All of us are keen to see what they're going to bring to the side in the next few months.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Final question. What is Grouville's goal for the rest of the season? Where are you aiming to finish?
I'll take it first because it's a personal thing for me. I've been at the club for 1 or 2 spells now over a period of years, and this is probably one of the best groups I've seen in terms of able to challenge for trophies. Not necessarily in terms of talent, because we've had some amazing teams down the years at Grouville, but in terms of togetherness, solidarity, all wanting exactly the same goal. And the good thing is pretty much all of us seem focused on one way, and that is trying to achieve as good as we can. I mean, we may probably have had 1 or 2 bad results short of being able to challenge for the league this year, but we'll 100% be looking to win something. We want to raise the profile of the club, and more importantly, I think we've got the talent pool now to be able to challenge any of the teams on the island. I think whatever the Bulls decide to do might determine what happens in March onwards, because it's highly likely they'll resume at some point. And if they do, not to give them any ideas about poaching our players, but there's probably 2 or 3 in our side now that would expect to be in and around that. So if they come and take them at a crucial time for us, then obviously it'll be a difficult challenge to maintain anything. But if we're able to get through to the end of the season with this group of players, then I don't see any reason why we shouldn't at least be challenging in and around the top 4, to win a trophy in some way.
Yeah, I think top 3 for me is the aim. If we can kind of stay where we are, keep winning games and keep enjoying it as well. Because like Garry said, we're a good group of lads enjoying football together. So just keep going as we are, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Top 3, I think I'd be definitely happy top 3.
Yeah.
We do have,
and then next year, we build on it.
Obviously, a few weeks ago, Arthur Illingworth and Charlie Payne decided to go to Grouville. How much of a miss will they be? Did they talk to you before they left, or did they say their reasons?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't want to come in at Christmas this year, to be honest, and do running, but that's fair enough, isn't it? No, I had a chat with them. Had a chat with them both. Slightly different reasons why they're looking to move on. Arthur just felt a bit stale. He felt like I think with Arthur, what happened was he got himself in the Bulls, and he started to enjoy that. It was different scenery, and then it sort of stopped straight away, which was a shame for him. And I think he sort of just needed something fresh. And Charlie's sort of he's at a stage now where he just wants to be playing all the time. And I'm not going to stop anyone who wants to.
Arthur was great for you last year, wasn't he? You had a really good front 3, and I think Charlie's been unfortunate with injuries this season as well. He's sort of just come back, and I think you've been out injured through COVID especially. You want to make sure you get as many games as possible, but I think obviously Arthur's forward play will be a bit of a miss for you, don't you think?
He will, yeah. But I mean, if we look at it from last year, I've got Fraser this year for the time being. So I kind of. Yes, they'll both be missed, definitely, because they've both been at the club for quite a while. They've been part of the sort of Wanderers, social. They've been great lads, and I wish them all the best at Grouville, and I think they make them a really strong team.
Does that add a bit of extra spice for this weekend's game as well, coming up against them?
Not for me, not for me. Potentially for other players it might, or potentially for Arthur and Charlie to prove a point. But no, not for me. Not for me. Like I said, I wish them all the best, and obviously hope they don't have the best game on Saturday.
On the weekend, last weekend, you won your cup game against Grouville Reserves. Is that something you want to do as well? Go on to win a cup of some sort? Yeah.
I mean, the more games you win, the more games you get, right? And especially with cup football. And when you're winning, it's nice to keep on a run. So we'll go the back of St. One. The last thing we wanted to do was turn up last Saturday and get turned over by Grouville Reserves. But in terms of me personally, I just want to win the league throughout the whole season. And if that means sacrificing a cup or 2, I'll do that.
Have you got some good juniors coming through, and is there anybody you would like to? One to watch, if you like, or a couple to watch coming through?
So it's been quite tough, really, sort of this season, down to just numbers, because of the size of our squad. It's been a struggle to pick 16 senior lads, let alone try and get juniors involved. But recent weeks, especially last Saturday, it was a good chance for us to do that because of the rules with the FA Cup in terms of your reserves can't play up and first team can't play down, who basically cup tied. So that was good. We managed to get 3 16-year-olds on the pitch at the same time on Saturday. Got a couple of lads that look quite good. A couple of brothers of current players. So we had 2 sets of brothers playing on Saturday, which was good. And we got Daryl as well, young Daryl, 16-year-old sort of striker, front lad.
Yeah. I like him.
He looks quite good. Yeah. So,
how good is it? How good is it to get those involved around the senior squad, around the likes of Logan, around the likes of Fraser, James? How good an experience is that for them?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I remember being that age and being sort of thrown into senior football and senior dressing rooms and the banter that flies around with it, and I think it makes them, it really does. They sort of understand that these lads aren't, that scary. I think personally, at that age nowadays is a bit different to when I was that age. I think when I came through, you just sort of sit down and you just do what you're told, sort of thing. Whereas nowadays there's a bit more sort of cockiness about it. There's a bit more back chat, which I just think adds to the banter. It's really good to see.
I've seen a lot of, especially at the reserve football, I see a lot of young players getting the opportunity to play senior football, but I do get the sense as well that they think that playing for the reserves is a step down. What's your view on that in terms of how youngsters should see playing in the reserves as a really good learning position where they can get smashed up with some senior players and clever old players that maybe not fast enough but still know the game? Have you got a message for young boys as well?
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree, Mark. I mean, I remember being 16 and I played a C team a couple of times. That was when most clubs, I think, had C teams, C team reserves, first team. And it's a stepping stone because the gap in my opinion, to 18s and senior football, whether it's C, whether it reserves, whether it first team, is big. It's the physicality of it, the pace of it, and I think players nowadays, they expect too much too soon in terms of that respect. I think if players aren't, if a good sort of 16-year-old's not in the first team every week, or he makes it one week and then he goes down to the reserves, it's like, well, why am I down the reserves this week when I was in the first team and I did well, No, I agree with that, yeah.
What I'm saying is they can maybe help influence the kid to realise playing in reserves is a step up.
The reason why they are.
It's a step up. It's not because you're not in the first team and your mate might be, that sort of attitude of, well, my mate's in the first team, I should be in it. Well, if your pathway means reserves, enjoy that and learn from it, because I've seen a huge benefit with some young under 18s that have played 6-7 reserve games, and it's incredible how quick they're learning the game and how fast they're going to progress. Having the attitude to just reserve football I'm going to enjoy that, and maybe they can help influence them a bit.
And I think that their mentality should be to enjoy it, because it's a game of senior football, right? Whether it's reserves, whether it's C team to a certain extent, it's playing senior football, and also it's another game of football. Whether it's senior football or junior football, it's another game of football where you can be playing Saturday, Sunday. I know there was a lot of talk, a few years back about kids overplaying. They play too much. Some kids at school play. Train Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, play school game Saturday morning. I mean, don't get me wrong, three games on a Saturday and Sunday, yeah, it probably is too much. But I think that they'd be silly to turn down the opportunity of a senior game when they'll get the most learn from it, really.
It's a good story, really, about Cavan Miley, who's ultimately one of our biggest success stories in recent years, that he's went over to Eastleigh and getting paid to be a footballer, which is what everyone's dream is. But Cavan will tell you, if we ever get a chance to get him on the show, Dan, that his biggest learning curve was coming out of he was under 18, under 17s. He played a game for the reserves and said, I want to play the whole season here. I don't want to play first team yet. And he says that one season of playing every single reserve game, 90 minutes, and learning how to play the game and learning to dodge tackles, ride tackles, put tackles in. He said it just that one 12-month campaign just set him up for senior football. And how quick he accelerated from an 18-year-old to the Island captain and then off to Eastleigh within the space of 2 or 3 years is a shining example. If he can do it, why can't all our other kids think that way?
For sure.
Just a good story to share, and for if anyone is listening, to remind themselves that some of the top players have went through that journey, and good enough for them, good enough for you.
For sure.
And to be honest, that's really something that you wouldn't expect a young lad of that age to even think about, you know.
Well, he was very mature beyond his years. I think he had an old head and young shoulders, and fully deserved the opportunity he got. He was outstanding footballer, still is.
And one more question on youngsters. How, as a former Jersey player yourself, Chris, what advice would you give them to go for them to what they need to do to reach that level of Jersey football and maybe even beyond, like Cav?
Hard work, and I don't just mean running. You know, I mean, it's hard work. It's application and training. It's hard work with your attitude. It's hard work listening to sometimes something you might not believe in or you might not agree with, but if it's what you're being told, you know, be open to give it a go. And you've got to want it. Yeah, you've really just got to want to be able to be playing at the highest of what you think is your ability, and maybe even higher.
One last question. What are your goals? You said it earlier about the league. Your goal is to win the league. How important, therefore, is to win every game that you play, and especially the big game against St Paul's later on in the season?
Yeah, so like we said, I think it kind of covers probably throughout this morning is every single game now is like a cup final. You know, you asked if we were looking for a cup run. Well, we've got 7-8 cup finals, you know, and then maybe more. So yeah, I think what's important is that we're in a position for when we play St Paul's that it means anything. You know, because potentially we could turn up there 6 points, 7 points, 8 points behind them, and then the game is just another game. So yeah, I think the first point is game by game. Like I said, really tough game this Saturday, and I don't really think we should be looking beyond there. But that's the starting point for us.
One thing I noticed before coming on was I looked at the league table last night, and the top 7 teams have all scored more than 20 goals, which generally you would have one team or 2 teams at the top with 20 goals ahead of everybody else. But the fact that they're all scoring goals, I mean, you're an average of 3 and 4 goals a game, Chris, so you must be pretty pleased about that. And you know, all the other clubs are getting, sometimes goal difference can come into it, but I definitely don't think it's going to be twists and turns. I don't think it's going to be like years gone by. To have 5 or 6 teams all capable of beating each other I don't ever remember that.
No, exactly, and that's like I said, you know, Dan, you mentioned about the St Paul's game. You know, we've got to get there first and be in a position to be able to challenge that. And Cass scoring goals, yeah, brilliant. We scored a lot of goals last season. Lads have continued scoring goals. Just wish they'd scored more, because we certainly create a lot more chances than we score.
Yeah.
But also on the other side of it, we conceded quite a few more, I think, this season than last season. So that's something that we need to work on as well.
And for you, Chris, I know Cass is just there, but is maybe managing Jersey one day one of your big goals as a manager?
To be honest, you know, I'm in my 2nd season. I'm enjoying it. There's bits of it that I don't like. I'm sure Cass can attest to that. And we'll just see how it goes. I mean, yeah, I'm a proud Jerseyman, so of course one day it would be great to manage Jersey or be involved in some capacity. But for the time being, let's just stick with Wanderers and see how we get on.
Well, you're on the right track, mate. And look, I'm in there covering just now. I agree. I think the next Jersey manager should be a local guy with a passion. You see the support Gary's got at Jersey Bulls, local guy. And maybe it is time for someone to grab the reins at some point. I'd still like to win the Marathi the next year first. But yeah, I do think that's the right thing to do. The next step, let's get a local guy in and, you know, 100% behind him. And you want the Jersey FA team, for me anyway, to be supported the same as Jersey Bulls is. And maybe having a local guy at the top. There's enough good managers now getting their experience in and showing that they're capable. And yeah, let's see, as you say, Chris, just give us this season if you don't mind, and then we can go after that.
I won't be rushing, mate. I won't be rushing. Trust me.
Thank you very much for coming on, Chris. It's been really good to chat to you. Good luck for the rest of the season as well.
No problem. Thanks very much, guys. It was good to
Chris,
catch up.
all the best Saturday, all the best to all the teams, and well done. Good stuff.
Lovely.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.